last week in practice, especially on Wednesday, wasn't as good as he was hoping for. Are you guys taking steps this week to make sure to get back in that groove? Never been practices leading into the game.
Yeah, Mac made a point this morning about how practice last week on Wednesday wasn't what it was supposed to be. But I think his bigger message to us this morning, playing UVA, they're a 1-5 team right now. We can't get complacent. We have to play to our standard each and every week, no matter who we play. This is the time of the year where upsets are very big, and we're not going to let that happen to us. So we're going to come out, focus, and handle business like we're supposed to.
Do you find that it's almost more difficult to get yourself up for the games against teams having a tough season like UVA as opposed to a team that's a game that's hyped up like the game against Miami last weekend?
Yeah, sure, it might be a little bit tougher, but like I said, you have to put yourself in the mindset that you have to play to a standard every week. Like I said, it doesn't matter who we're playing. This is still Power 5 team. There's still got talented people on that team, so we have to show up and play every week.
Can you take us inside the team meeting on Sunday? Max said it was one of the toughest team meetings he's been around after a win because there was just so much to improve on.
Yeah, he definitely harped on a lot of stuff. One of his biggest things he liked to say was, we're coaching us really hard and we won. It'd be a lot different if we came in here and coach all the bad stuff and we lost. So we're lucky and fortunate that we were good enough to win that game. But we did do a lot of bad things in that game, stuff that got to be fixed. And I think his biggest message in that meeting was the penalties. The penalties was awful this past weekend, so that's something that we're going to have to really clean up this week.
What do you think there's why there was such a rash of penalties and big penalties?
I really can't point it out to you. Like I said after the game, most of the time when you get penalties, it's usually due to bad technique or something like that. Officials might have had a little heavy whistle, but that really doesn't matter. Like I said, we got to cut the penalties, point blank, period.
Did you sense that maybe the guys were, I guess you can't be too amped up in the sense where you're so amped up that it affects focus and judgment. Do you think you guys were maybe at that point early on because it was a unique atmosphere here? You had the lights, all kinds of different stuff, and sort of a new stage for you guys.
Yeah, a game like that, there's going to be a lot of, emotion involved and people being amped up. But something that Coach Chiz actually talked about with the defense all week is that execution has to come over emotion, because emotion goes up and down. But you always have to be in the right stable mindset to be able to execute what we're doing, having good technique, run the play correctly, and just doing our job.
Listening to you all talk, just really all season, there's been, it feels like every now and then you just hear nuggets of Georgia Tech last year, X disappointing moment in the past. Do you feel like it's part of the culture change you all are trying to do where you are preparing for the moments like this in season where a letdown could be a possibility?
Yeah, like I said, I think we learned a lot from last year, from the letdown and the meltdown that we had at the end of the year. And us obviously not wanting that to happen again. We're putting big emphasis on it to not for it to be able to happen. So a game like UVA, maybe a lesser opponent, we can't get complacent. Georgia Tech has always had our numbers, so we can't get complacent on them just because of their record. We have to come in and show up, play week in and week out.
Sid, along those lines, you guys are up to number 10 now in the polls. And at least for the outside perception, that continues to change things when you crack the top 10. Do you, and it's a place y'all been before, do you feel like this team, and since it's an older group, is more equipped to handle a top 10 ranking, and the way this thing is going to get more, the stakes are raised? Do you feel like you're more equipped?
Yes, I think this team is more equipped. I think we are more equipped because we're not worried about it. We're just trying to handle business week in and week out, and when it's all said and done, we'll be at where we need to be. We're not focused on that because rankings go up and down each week. So they can be high on you one week and low on you the next. So I think this team really isn't getting into all that. We're just staying focused and playing ball so we can achieve our goals.
Cedric, we asked you about Bo since he was, obviously here. But how have you seen some of his just development? I know obviously last year redshirted, this year, get on the field a lot more. How have you seen this game?
Yeah, Bo has evolved into a total man this year. Last year you could see glimpses of it. He was a young guy. He had a lot of learning to do. But that's a guy who attacked this offseason on the field, in the weight room, in the film room. I mean, everywhere possible, he improved tremendously, and it's showing up on Saturdays. He's able to make plays. He's got a few sacks on the year. I'm proud of how he's played and how he's worked to get to where he's at now.
Early last spring, Mac was talking to us about the narrative about it's being a soft program, and he didn't deflect it. He said it's up to you guys to change it. When you look at the third quarter the other night, especially the way the first half went, do you think that that was a period in time where you guys showed that this program is a lot more physical because you exceeded their physicality in that quarter?
Yes, I mean, I think that's, something that we have talked about becoming, being better at this year is being a more physical and dominant team. And like you said, that third quarter, we came out flying around, really just getting after them. Defense played well, had 2 turnovers in the third quarter. Offense was able to score, I think, 21 points in the third quarter. So we just came out, really hard, really flying, and just played very dominant football.
How much is being physical at a level you need to be, how much is that is mental? And at what point do you get this, the belief that maybe you guys are where you need to be mentally as far as being physical, and it's just the other stuff has to take over?
Yeah, to me, it's definitely a little bit mental, because I think we're all pretty kind of strong humans. We're all, a little physical, but when you kind of get stuck in the game and in the game plan and different things like that, that might make you less physical. So you always kind of have to have in the back of your mind, like, we're still lining up, and I'm still trying to beat the guy right across from me.
So when you're out there pre-snap, how much freedom do Mac and Gene give you to audible defense into something else as a captain?
Yeah, I mean, we have kind of like audibles kind of built into the defense, like if they line up in a certain formation, bop the back, motions and different things like that. We're not out there just straight checking the defense from one to another, but we are having a lot of communication, depending on what type of offensive set they bring out, getting the D-line set up, alerting a motion, alerting when we're spinning coverage and different things like that. So we do have that in our defense, but we're not out there just switching the defense.
Sid, take me through the Rucker, Cedric Gray, power, synchronized move. Had y'all talked about that? I mean, that was just in the moment, it looked like.
Yeah, it was definitely like a in the moment thing. I see Cayman got the sack, and I was coming over to kind of celebrate with him, and I see he was kind of doing his own thing, and that's like Cayman's specialty right there. So I don't know, I just hopped in, and I didn't even realize Power was right beside me. He was in it too. So I mean, it was a cool little celebration. It looked hard, but it was not planned at all.
Looked like a little synchronized dance. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it did look pretty synchronized. It was nice.
I think Cayman's dad's treated it out like 10.
Well, how would you rate that? If you're rating, Olympic judge rating here? Like,
Celebration, that was like a 9. That was like a solid 9, yeah.
Where are you right now at a point of nitpicking your own game personally? When you watch film, there's probably not a lot to pick at this point, but how do you go about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, one thing for me is that I'm just always trying to strive for perfection, even though nobody will ever be perfect. If you strive for perfection, you will always be the best person of yourself. So I'm just trying to find the little things that I see during the games. Maybe I should have did this more on this play. Maybe I should have did that more on this play. So I'm always hard on myself because I always want to, continue to get better as a player.
How much less are you finding something now as opposed to a year ago?
I definitely say it might have gone down some. I will say, like looking at myself compared to like my sophomore year, my first year playing to now is very different. I would say, that year I was just kind of out there, just flying around, mindlessly and not really thinking or playing with technique or anything like that. And I watch myself now, I'm a lot more gap sound, a lot more technique sound, more physical player. So I do believe that I've definitely improved.
Let's stay on that one more time here. You told us back in August, I think it was, one of the reasons you came back was to learn how to, I guess, fight the block, play off the block, and then make a play. Have you made the progress that you wanted to make in that area?
Yeah, I think I've definitely made the progress in that area. But not only that area, I think, pass rush was one of the bigger things that I want to get better at as well. And I think, I've been doing some good things in the pass rush game as well. I'm trying to improve my game. I've been working with the D-line some, working on some pass rush moves and different things like that. So just trying to evolve my game.
So kind of surprised were you, I guess, on that defensive line that Kevin Nestor came back as fast as he did. Mac was saying the other day he thought it was going to be like 3 or 4 weeks. He obviously went to 1 games. How surprised were you that he, if at all, that he came back as soon as he did?
Yeah, well, I mean, we got this, mentality that is spreading across the team. I think it's honestly contagious. When you see one guy kind of playing when they're hurt, everybody wants to do it because they don't want to make excuses. They don't want to let their team down. And I think KJ, showed a perfect example of that. He had a high ankle sprain. He was in a boot maybe last week. And he came back out there and played today, taped them ankles up, and he was ready to go. He didn't let that, be an excuse, and he was ready to go and ready to play.
Cedric, how would you compare, last year at this time, you guys were having a special season. The 9-1 start, and this year, 6-0, obviously feels special again, or at least it has the potential to be special. How would you just compare, I know it's unscientific, the feeling of what it felt like last year getting off to the start that you did, and then this year? How would you just compare and contrast it?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty similar feeling. I think, we were happy how the season started last year, and I think we are happy about how, the season has been going this year. But like I said, time and time again, we have learned from last year. We fell off the cliff at the end of the season, so I say that's where it would be different at this year. Because we understand that we can't do that and we can't get complacent this year. So I say that's where the fundamental difference in the feeling is.
And you know that you can make it different.
Right.
Yeah.
How much better are you guys than you were this time ago?
I think we're a lot better. Especially speaking from a defensive standpoint, I feel like we've been playing a lot better ball lately on defense than we did last year.